Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I'm just out here in the garage contemplating making a From the Vault video on my retro 9mm AR-15 build and talking about its evolution of what I originally created the gun as, and then this is the receiver that I used in my amnesty registration videos, and then I decided to turn it into something that would be a kind of a what-if gun. What if Colt in the military wanted a 9mm short-barreled rifle or carbine back in the Vietnam era? What would it look like? And I guess maybe just a kind of an earlier version of what would have been a Colt 6450 is what I believe the model number was. And just kind of talk about it, because not every gun I have in my collection is like, you know, super rare, but I do like to get the guns out and just talk about them as like an average gun guy, talk about the builds, and just have some fun with it. And I think some people might find this thing kind of interesting. And I want to talk about all like the different parts that went into it and the philosophy of it. I just think it's such a cool looking build, but I'm trying to figure out how to turn it into a video. So I'm just out here kind of rummaging through some thoughts and going, would people really be interested in it? And if I did make a video, what would I talk about? And just double checking I know where all the parts came from and so forth. But anyway, I wanted to make a very quick video tonight and answer a question from one of my usual, I'm going to say fans, and put that in air quote, basement ops, who asked me yesterday about if I could make a video and answer a question, or I guess a couple of questions that he had, about why I'm not really into the competitive shooting and the like the tactical shooting, like with the, you know, all the kit and gearing up and all that kind of stuff, and do I like to go to the range and do any particular drills and so forth, and why. And I'll answer some of those questions because I've been asked in the past, and I've kind of mentioned them in passing from time to time, but this might be a good place to put all these answers in one video. To answer the basic question of why do I not really get into competition shooting is because my life as a professional musician is all competition. I mean, my life has just been competition. It's all it is. You're always competing. You know, everything you do in life is a competition, from your job to even sometimes your hobbies to finding the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with and marry. You know, it's all a competition. Life's a competition. And sometimes you just want to have a hobby or to do something where you don't always feel the pressure that you're inferior or you're having to, I don't know, just compete. And that's what I want guns to be for me. I like it just to be a venture of self-exploration, of learning about various firearms and the mechanics of firearms and just enjoying them and shooting them without needing to feel like I have to prove myself. It's just something that I just want to have fun with. I want to collect them and just enjoy them. And that's what it is. And that's why the competition stuff never has really interested me at all. Because to me, it's just more pressure. It's just more pressure. And then, you know, in anything you do that is a competitive hobby or field or whatever, there's always going to be people that are better than you. Okay? And I guess, as I said, I just don't want to have that inferiority complex all the time in everything I do. And it's just, I just want this to be my release and just as a hobby. And that's why I don't really care about the competitive stuff. To answer the other questions regarding why don't I do like the, you know, or care about getting all kitted up and all that kind of stuff is, as time goes on, I have to think about the practicality of if I'm ever, and hopefully, I mean, I pray to God I never have to use my firearm in self-defense. Ever, ever, ever. But if I had to, what's going to be the overwhelmingly most likely scenario? It's going to be a situation where I would be at a, you know, a mall or a maybe a grocery store or a gas station or something like that, basically out in public. It's not going to be something where I'm charging in. I don't want to be a hero. I would be very reluctant. You know, I never want to hurt anybody. And my goal would be to escape the situation rather than get into a gunfight. You know, I'm not looking for a fight. I'm not looking to storm a building. I'm not a hero. I'm 43 years old. I got a dad bod. It's not what I am. I'm not trying to present myself and represent myself as something I'm not. I'm not a soldier, you know? And if I'm ever really in a situation where I would need kit, like, you know, plates and night vision and all that, I mean, trust me, I've already lost that battle because, I mean, my age and all that kind of stuff, you know, that's a young man's thing. You know, that's a soldier's thing, you know? I mean, if I was in a life or death situation, I would do whatever it is to, you know, try to survive, but I don't really see myself being in that situation. I don't pretend that I'm a soldier. I don't think I'm a soldier. I don't think that I'm going to be, you know, storming the beaches of Normandy in some Civil War 2.0. This is not going to be me. So for me, having all that stuff, I just kind of find is irrelevant and impractical. And then would just detract away from just the joy and the fun of these guns. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't use a firearm in self-defense, or I don't think that you should prepare for it. I think you just need to know your own personal limitations and the situation that you're in, and just kind of run the numbers yourself on what you think is important. And the other thing I got asked was, do I care about doing any drills at the range? And the truth is not really. You know, I have my little things that I do for the range reports, and you know, I definitely like to try out different things, because at the range that I'm at, I'm allowed to, because it's a private range or lanes where I'm able to shoot. I can do holster drills. I can pull from a holster. I do practice that. I do, you know, rapid fire, number of different things. But, you know, it's kind of funny. Everybody does these drills. You know, you can see the IDPA guys. You can see whatever they do, like, you know, 2 at the head, blah, blah, blah. You go to the next target. That's not the way real life would be. You know, if you had to defend yourself with multiple targets, they're not going to be static. It's not going to be practical. Okay, so you got to shoot 3 in the torso here, 2 in the head here, do it all under fire. That's not real. I mean, it's great that you practice doing those maneuvers, and I think it's great. But every situation would be different. I mean, I like to think about the way possibly soldiers are trained. Where they're going to go through those drills, but what actually happens in combat in that situation when your adrenaline is pumping and everything is a variable, well, it's not going to be in that same order. So I don't really do any drills except just making sure that I can pull my firearm and get an acquisition on a target, and maybe get a couple rounds on it in a very short period of time, just in case that was a situation that I would be in, because I think that's practical and a possibility. But most of the time, I'll be very honest with you, running the channel sometimes is kind of like a job. I can't really tell you the last time I went to the range just to go to the range and just shoot. Because every time I go there, even if I'm taking a friend or a family member or what have you to the range, I will always take that opportunity to bring the camera or some gun that I'm having to review, or shoot footage for a product review or something. So every time I go to the range, it's kind of work. Now, don't get me wrong, I love doing it, but it's not like I could just go, you know what, I'm just gonna, blow off some steam today. I'm just gonna, had a busy week. I like to go to the range and just relax. No, I'm like, I'm gonna go to the range. I am gonna shoot, but I got 2 guns I got to review. So let me get the camera out and I'll do certain things. So that's the way it is for me. So I'm not, as I said, always going to the range to have fun. Sometimes it is a job. And sometimes I drag my wife after a long day of work out to the range. I'm like, listen, I got like 3 guns in for a review. I need to get this range footage done. Will you please come with me? And there's been a couple times where she couldn't. I'll set up the tripod, but often she'll come with me, and I promise I'll be there I'll get it all done as fast as I possibly can. I have a little procedure that I go through. I'll go with like loaded mags, and I will try to be in and out of that range in 30 minutes and try to get the footage that I need. So that's usually my kind of range experience and what I do. I had a subscriber recently that visited me, Rudy. He was in town. I talked about that in a previous video, and he kind of got to see a little bit of what I do. And it's all just procedure. It's just going through the motions. I enjoy it, but it's kind of a job a little bit. But I hope that answers your question. One of the most enlightening things in my life that opened my eyes is years ago, my father and I were at a car show. If you guys don't know, my dad and I restored a 1969 Camaro convertible. And this car that we restored and loved, we always took it to a car show when my parents lived in Florida at the Daytona International Speedway. It's called the Turkey Run. In fact, it goes on during the week of Thanksgiving. And for years and years and years and years, the show was only open to cars of certain ages. And as time went on, I guess the show started back in like 72 or 73. It was pretty much people that had, you know, Model Ts, Model As, 30s, and maybe 40s. And as time went on, they would add more years to the list that could come to the show. And then it kind of got to a thing where they said it's only cars like 80 and earlier. And that was it. It was kind of stationary for a while. And then as, you know, generations kind of pass away, of course, you know, people in my generation might not be into the Model A's and the, you know, the Model T's like some of the older generations were. So they realized they had to open this up to a younger generation. And then they said, okay, all cars, if they're newer than a certain year, but they have to be a show car. They just can't be some, you know, something right off the lot. It has to be something that's been modified, something that's designed for show. And there were some people that didn't like that because now you had people with, 65 Mustangs parked next to people with like 2010, Honda Accords, but they've been souped up. And people are like, yeah, but I saw something during this car show when the first year they did this. I discovered that we saw a much younger generation come to this car show, showing off the cars that they loved and they cared about. And I realized that the same passion that these people had for cars and automobiles and tricking them out and doing things, while it might not be the same thing that I was interested in American muscle cars, it was still a passion, and the heart of what the joy was, which was automobiles and cars, was still there. It was just with a different car. It was with a different attitude, but it was still the same passion. And so that opened my eyes, and I feel like we need to do that in the gun world as well. A lot of times people will criticize my channel and go, well, you're not a tactical guy. You're not like Garand Thumb. No, I'm not like Garand Thumb, because I know who I am and I know what I like. But I don't disparage Garand Thumb for doing what he does, or Robski from the AK-47 74 Operators Union. They're just different. And but I think most of you guys are more like me. I mean, it's cool to imagine, oh yeah, I'm the guy all kitted up going, but how many of us are actually doing pull-ups in the woods with our AKs on the magazine on a tree? Almost none of you guys, right? Me either, okay? So I don't try to give you guys some type of fantasy role play. I don't think I'm something that I'm not. So that's why I make the content that I do, and why I'm not really into all the competition stuff and all the tactical gear. So I hope that answers Basement Ops' question. And I guess I'll just say, if you guys have any questions you want to ask me regarding my channel or guns or whatever, post it in a comment, and maybe I'll make a video on it, and I'll try to answer them. So anyway, hope this video helps Basement Ops understand my perspective. So let me know, do you guys want to see a From the Vault video on this carbine? I'm thinking about making it, so that's kind of what I'm out here trying to figure out. So, as always, thanks for watching.